Folks, over a period of time, we have decided this year to have various types of parties. You actually pat our own selves on the back for what we've done in this particular community. We've done a phenomenal job of having one of the most fantastic Catholic organizations as far as church and community that there is in the state of Colorado. We are the envy of many churches. As we get started tonight, I'll ask our pastor, Father David, to come up and say a few words for us, and then I'll tell you about the actual evening and how it will progress. But Father, if you say a couple of words for us, and then I'll take it from there.
Good evening, everyone. And welcome to you all. 5 years ago, when the parish celebrated its 35th anniversary, one of the things we did was to focus particularly on our founding parishioners. As part of that, in the summer of that year, we had what we called an evening of memories, where we invited Monsignor Leone and Monsignor Kinkle to come back to the parish, and we shared memories of the last 35 years. This year, we chose to honor our founding parishioners through a written history that's told from their perspective. It's a history that will appear in the pictorial directory, which there is one, and it is coming out soon. It's at the publisher's now, should be out in August. But great attention was paid to interviewing as many of our founding parishioners as we could, again, to get their perspective on the founding of the parish. And that history is going to be a particular treasure for generations to come. For example, when a group of people is gathered here for the 50th anniversary or the 75th anniversary, they're going to be able to look back on that history and have additional insights into the founding of the parish, again, through the perspective of those interviewed. When the staff began to plan tonight's gathering, they decided it would be really beneficial for us to look at these last 40 years from really 3 different perspectives. First, we're going to hear tonight from the children of our founders, many of whom are still parishioners to this day. Now, our founders sacrificed, worked hard, and were very dedicated to the building of this parish. And their young children were caught up in that. And they learned early on the necessity and value of volunteerism. Many of our founding parishioners brought their children with them to paint walls, to lay sod outside, to clean bathrooms, etc. And they instilled those children, again, a sense of investment in your parish and service to your parish. So that group is going to speak first and talk about what they learned from the example of their parents and how they are endeavoring to fulfill that same sense of service today and pass that on to their children. The second group we're going to hear from goes back to the days when Monsignor Leone was pastor. And one of the particular gifts that Monsignor Leone brought to the parish was a sense of structure and organization. In the early days, there were lots of people doing lots of things, but there wasn't a lot of structure and organization to those things. And things were getting duplicated, etc. And so Monsignor Leone is the one who organized all that into various ministries, which we still have today. He organized leadership groups. And we're going to hear from a couple of those people who were part of that phase of the parish's history as to what that meant for them, how that empowered them, how that made them feel valuable when it comes to being church. And then the third group we're going to hear from is the youngest group. It's people who have chosen to come to Spirit of Christ and become parishioners for a variety of different reasons. They're going to share some of those reasons. They're also going to talk about why they like Spirit of Christ And they're going to pledge a promise that they will continue the legacy. I think for the older parishioners, especially our founders, that part especially is going to be very heartening. Because anytime we work hard on something, and when we value something, we want to see it prosper. We want to see it endure. And to know that there are young people willing to take the torch now and carry on is very, very gratifying. Finally, we'll close tonight with an image. And we see over here to my left, to your right, what is representing a foundation. And written in that foundation, of course, is Jesus Christ, who is the cornerstone of the church. But also carved into that foundation are the three original charisms of the parish: small church communities, stewardship, and hospitality. They represent the vision of the founding parishioners, a vision that continues to endure and thrive to this day. On your table, you have bricks. And what we're going to do as an exercise at the end of the evening is for all of us to sign our names to those bricks and come forward and place those bricks on the foundation as a visible sign of our promise that what was built 40 years ago will continue to be built upon by this generation, who will inspire the next generation, who will inspire the next generation. And in that way, the true Spirit of Christ embodied in this community will always be alive and will constantly be making a difference as it touches so many lives. So that's an overview of our evening. And with that, I turn it back over to our Master of Ceremonies at TZAP, who's going to guide us through these three stages of our evening.
You know, as an old teacher, I'm much better at a lesson like I have sheet metal from him. But life is one of those things. Our family came here in 1955. We bought a home, 61st and Carr Street. We went to the Catholic Church here, which is known as St. Anne's. And it became our parish. And it expanded. The Hoffmans started building their homes, and all of a sudden, our data went from 3,000 people to 60,000, and it started growing. At my graduation, Dr. Witt got up and said he wanted to thank the people of Kaufman, the city of Arvada, for building the high school, which would be big enough for our children, our children's children, and their children to come. The year was 1957. In 1959, we opened up Arvada West. And it has been growing ever since that time. We also, as Catholics, started to increase. Not by reproduction necessarily, but by moving in. The next thing you know, the question comes up of what do we do? Do we continue St. Anne's? Do we expand it? Do we become a mission church? Do we become a church of our own? We have the power of vote. They took the vote. The vote was 6-6. There was one vote outstanding. The gentleman came through and said we will have be a parish of our own. The vote was won. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could take one moment and stand, give a standing ovation. on that particular committee, many people on the board. Over the years, thousands have come forward. We've done everything from wash toilets to wash those windows. We've planted flowers, and we've paid for this place. You can be very, very proud. And in turn, we have a thing called the Hill. Right out here. Every kid who's ever attended our particular community has run up and down that hill. And they roll on the hill. And they have a good time up on the hill. We have some of those particular people with us. If I can have the three individuals who happen to go ahead and represent group number one, kids of the founding fathers come forward, take these particular chairs in front of us so you can talk a little bit about what you have. You have 2 minutes apiece. That is a man. Okay, and I may go ahead and touch that down a little bit. But if you can do that while we're waiting to get started. Tim, if you can kind of show us a little bit of a film.
Oh, well, they're not coming with us. Oh, me?
Presentation as we go on. We have three of the people who were children. If you can kind of do a presentation for us, and then if you'll add your group, you have 2 minutes. Each.
I guess I get the honors to kick this thing off. So, hello, my name is Scott Bray, and my wife, Terry, has joined me this evening. And Terry and I have 4 children who are at home being perfect angels, I'm sure. So I'm one of the children of one of the families that founded Spirit of Christ 40 years ago. My wife has attended Spirit of Christ for 20 years now. Hard to believe it's been that long. As a young kid, I was 10 years old then, and our parents decided to branch off and start Spirit of Christ. I can recall how my memories go to us attending church at an elementary school, Weber Elementary, and I thought that was quite bizarre then and wondered why we weren't at St. Anne's and why this didn't look like a church, but it was exciting nonetheless. So until I understood that this building was being constructed for us. It took a bit, to grasp all of that, being so young then. It was exciting, though, that we were able to meet many new families, lots of kids amongst all of them, to play with, to hang out with. There were so many activities, and to me, the memory was that it was just one big long summer, and we just had a great time always gathering here at the property, or there was always something going on around the church. So it was great memories of that. And I recall literally climbing on these walls, and when my dad wasn't looking, I was walking on these beams here. So this place has got, a real soft place in my heart. And it was, just a thrill to be a part of and be included in what was going on here. My dad dragged us all over here at certain times as this thing was being built. So it was pretty exciting for a young man. And my 5 brothers and sisters were included in the same. My folks were real busy trying to, do all the things that needed to be done to make this happen. And they involved us entirely. We'd all get in the car and boom, we're here, or we're over there at the school setting up or tearing down. All great memories, all great connections of, children, people that are still in my life today. As I grew up, of course, I didn't choose this. My folks chose this parish, but I thought it was a great gift because as I grew up and joined the youth group, it was then called Hands of Christ. It was just this super anchor for me to be a part of that. Those were my friends. Those were the activities I took part in, the retreats, the religious education, the camping trips. It was just awesome memories. And again, friends that I've formed with that group are still friends that I have now in my life. Later on, my dad had started his own construction company. 1982, the year I graduated, the Saturday after, we began the project here to renovate the sanctuary. I don't know if all of you know, but we're sitting in the original sanctuary. I'm sitting where the old altar used to be. And it took over a transformation and an updating, and the booth that Tim is in was fabricated, all those things. The chapel or adoration was over here. And with that, this place became a very personal place for me because my handiwork was all over it and is still all over it. So this was a very important place, and I really was proud to be a part of that and to be included in doing that. The place here, this sanctuary, became even more special to me the morning when I met my wife, and I introduced myself to her about right over there, kind of where the bar is. It wasn't a bar then, it was the overflow. Introduced myself to her, and it really started off, a great relationship. It's worked out pretty well for me. So, with that, Terry and I then joined in helping with the youth group. It kind of came natural to us to use our gifts in that way, and kind of jumping way ahead. Terry and I, then got married, and jumping ahead even further, we now have 4 children. We have a son and 3 daughters that we are now raising here at Spirit of Christ, giving them all the experiences that we had as kids, the religious education, the service activities that they do, youth group, of course. And we take great pride in teaching them about the lifestyle of stewardship and what that meant for me when I was a kid and what Terry learned when she came to Spirit of Christ. Living a life of gratitude and service is what we're trying to teach them, which is what I was modeled by my parents and the parents of everybody else that started this parish. In 2012, by the grace of God and Father David, I was asked to join the staff here at Spirit of Christ. And my position is facilities manager here. And with that, I am in charge of absolutely nothing. I just really try to be the best steward and servant to everybody that uses this awesome place. I really take that to heart, to know that I've just got a great gift to be able to do that for you guys and provide the blessed place that I can. And we very much love the community here and really get charged up about teaching our kids the legacy of stewardship and gratitude. And so it brings us great joy to be able to do that with our kids and for them to understand it as well. And with the building block, the brick, The word that rings for me the most in my life and how I've grown up here is service. Just to be, I mean, it's the most fulfilling thing to me and to Terry and our family to be in service. It just seems right and the right way to do things for us.